All right, I'm looking at Mr. Vince Carter, and we're trying to figure out, Vince, what you doing there, man? What's up? What's up? How you doing? How you
Hey,
doing?
everything rolling on pretty good. I have no complaints right now. I'm just happy to see another day.
Yeah. It's funny, Vince. When we get to be our age, that's a very common thing to say because it is so true. You know, because when you're
I
young,
must
you think
admit
you're
I
gonna
did
live forever. You think you're gonna be young forever as well.
have yeah, yeah. I must admit to you, I have a great appreciation for waking up each day now. I have a full appreciation for the day where I didn't have before. I'm happy to see them come and go.
Right. It's funny because that was one thing that I was thinking about today. I was working in the backyard putting up my fence. I'm still working on my fence from the hurricane. Show you just how I mean
Hmm.
it just all came down. So I've been doing it piece by piece, little by little. But tomorrow morning
Hmm.
it would be totally complete. But I want to say to everybody, welcome to Youth Central Sports. I'm Charles Morse with Coach Vince Carter. Happy to be with you here doing the playoffs, doing Wednesday night. And you got to give us an update. You got to give us an update on your knee. How's it going?
Going on really well. I've just eclipsed the six, and roughly I'm at about a 7 week period. Things seem to be going well according to the doctor. I've made tremendous progress. I'm able to walk with a cane and without the assistance of a cane, and also I'm able to drive. So I'm really looking for. I got another appointment mid-May. Hope that he's going to release me so that he totally off of all assistance. That's his goal. My goal would be so overall things going well. Things going well.
Okay, and
Besides
what was the date of your surgery?
February 27th. My accident occurred February 16th, and then surgery was 11 days later, February 27th.
Okay. So you coming along well. You're not using what I call Hazel anymore. That's your walk. See, I named your walker Hazel.
Yeah,
So you,
I had named it all just blessed, but I had to put it down. I told her I appreciate it, but I got to move on. So I got Ralph now. I got Ralph to get around on. Right? So me and Ralph doing really well. Still got the
oh,
brace on. I'm hoping to
okay.
get rid of that brace soon.
Well, I want to go ahead and get to some sports here because we got a lot to talk about when it comes to sports because so
Mm,
much been going on between the NBA playoffs, the NFL draft.
yeah,
Miss Rice coming out today talking about the NCAA. Did you see that?
I read a little bit of it throughout today. I like the approach. I do think late on some of the initiatives, but you got to start. The gates, the horse is out the gate already. But still, I think some of the initiatives they're talking about having merit if they're properly instituted. But we still got a lot of problems to clean up. But at least we got to start. At least they're acknowledging it now. At least they're starting to look at some of what I consider to be their major concerns. I did note that there was no comment about paying athletes, which I
Okay.
didn't really expect that. I think they got some other things they got to clean up first.
Right. I have heard you talk about it, and we've just spent a brief moment on it. But with all of this that's going on between the shoe companies, and tell me your overall thought of the AAU.
Boy, I tell you what, I have been a part of the AAU animal, if you will, because I've coached in AAU for a number of years, and I don't remember it being as it is today. It was different then. It may have been still going on, but not to that degree. But here lately, uh, I have mixed feelings because I think right now every young high school student wants to play AAU to get seen by the college coaches. Uh, because the influence of the AAU coaches, which seems to have overshadowed the high school coach, is that's where all guys. So I played in some of those tournaments, like in Atlanta, and I've been in Houston, where you've got every college coach in the country on site. So the exposure level is very good corruptness of it all. It's politics. And then those shoe companies are going to throw in big money, but you can't always fault the shoe company. You got a person, they're offering, someone is accepting. And until you change the way that happens, you can't. Sonny Baccaro said, and he was one of the first persons who broke the shoe. He was an athlete. He was talking to schools, and the schools decided they wanted to get in on the money because, like he said, because we offer it, don't mean you have to take it. So, but the whole idea of the whole AAU thing is it's a complicated situation. I think the idea behind it is good for the kid if it's done correctly, but it's corrupt now. I don't know how they're going to clean it up. You know, basketball doesn't have a governing body as it would in youth sports, so everybody's kind of doing their own thing. Now it's spilled over into the collegiate area. We're buying kids from one program and then we buy them from there to the NBA. It's a mess, but I think it cleaned up. But it's going to take a minute, and it's going to have to come. We can't come in tiptoeing, stick, and it's going to upset some people. Break up is going to yes, but I think really intend to try to do it now.
Wanted to ask you, any surprises for you in the NBA playoffs so far?
Well, a little bit. I was looking at. I expected Toronto to be able to get to all. Really, I was thinking Toronto would win that series, and they may still do that. They got a 3-2 lead right now. Indiana surprised me. I really thought they had Cleveland down. But tonight, LeBron came back in his heroic style and shot a last-minute three-pointer that put them 3-2 ahead. Utah over Oklahoma. To be honest with you, I was very surprised by that. Maybe I underestimated Utah, but Utah is a much better team than I thought they were, and they got a 3-1 lead and leading now in the third quarter over Oklahoma. And Minnesota, Houston, I'm thinking on that one. So I guess my biggest surprise right now was Indiana, the way they were playing, the way they started out with that. Now I see them faltering a bit, but certainly Utah over Oklahoma.
All right. Two things with Indiana. If Oladipo had been able to hit shots the way he did in game 1, game 2, they would be up 3-1. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, he has not been able to hit the shots like he did in game 1, game 2. And my question to you is, why would you let LeBron get the ball in that situation? I would have the ball inbounded to anybody but LeBron. So my question is, as a coach, would you say do not let the ball come to LeBron? I'm asking.
Yes, I would say. I would, in fact, say that. I will go back. Let me backtrack a minute on your point about Oladipo making baskets. Many times in games like that, that's what happens is when you're not making baskets and you're not rebounding and you're not getting the rebound, you really put yourself in a deep hole. And the NBA is really geared toward making that outside shot. Charles Barkley was saying today, halftime of that very same game, and something I've been saying, and most people look at me strange when I say this, I just think they shoot too many threes. We don't have an inside presence. We didn't be inside the 3-point line, the elbow shots anymore, the free throw line shot, of feeding the bigs inside, or go inside. Everything is pull up and shoot that three, and win his own. And that's what happened to what you're talking about in Oladipo. Those first 2 games, he was on. Now, when he's not on and they're not rebounded, he just set up the fast break. And then tonight, was to attack the basket. He didn't shoot the jumper. He attacked the basket where he's his most difficult to defend. And he was smart enough to do that. Now, he hits those occasional shots. Tonight was one of those when he hit big 3. And yes, I would have said, don't let him get the ball, but that's much easier said than done. But I would have gone real hard to make somebody else beat me. But it happens. It's happened. That could be a breakdown in defensive assignment. Or maybe, I'm sure the coach mentioned it. And he shouldn't have to. Everybody on the floor should know that. Who else with the ball, hands with the ball going? He made it to somebody coming in him. So he got away with it. But I still say they're still in trouble. they're still in trouble. And I still think that there's a chance, that they're still in trouble. And if they get out of this round, they're in trouble next round as well.
Well, again, I still don't see how, on that level, understanding the game in that situation, that you would let LeBron get that ball on the inbound period. So that's just, I don't know. But usually I don't like to talk about coaches in the sense of firing, that type of thing.
Mm-mm.
But I was watching that Minnesota-Houston game, last game, and Minnesota, to me, has a great deal of talent. I mean, to me, they have a very talented team. And I'm just trying to figure out, like, how, as a coach, that your team come out. I can see if it was the first game of the season or something like that in this series. And I don't know what has happened to Towns. It's hard to understand. But there's something when your team come out and they play like that, to me, that's a reflection of the coach, because Minnesota has too much talent. You can say anything you want about Houston. I'm just talking about how they look, how they play, just their what is it I'm looking for on the court? It's just whatever that is. They're just not coming out and playing like they want to win. At least the last game.
You're right. It falls on the coach, because everybody's going to say the coach had to prepare them to play. Now, sometimes it's not the coach's fault. It's the players not ready to play. They're not, but we say as coaches, we get these guys ready to play. We get them fired up. We put in a solid game plan, and we hold them, they go out and execute that. But I agree with you. They look a little flat. I don't know what happened to Town. I don't know whether he's worn himself. I just don't understand where that is. Even so, more so really, given this a playoff situation and the opportunity that they had. I mean, because I thought they came out and they played well, but it just seemed like they're sliding away. Now, a couple of things come into play, and I'm not making excuses for them, but a couple of things come into play. You're talking about team chemistry. You're talking about experience. You're talking about guys getting out there and getting this far, playing this kind of basketball at this level with this much on the line. And maybe, experience comes into play, and maybe that's getting them, but you've got experienced ball players around them. There's no excuse for Towns not being able to do what he does, go out and make baskets. So I'm not sure, but it's going to fall back on the coach. There's no question. They're going to say he didn't have them prepared and ready to play. And as a coach, sometimes, you've done your best to get your players ready. You've given them the game plan. We've worked through them all week. And sometimes they go out there and it just bombs. But where does the fault go? Go back to the coach. You didn't have them prepared, because that's our job as coaches, to get them to prepare them ready to play. Now, what we don't have control over is whether they go out and actually execute as we are talking about. But if he doesn't execute that, you're going to say it's the coach's fault. So to your point, unfortunately, it is the coach's fault.
Right.
They got a great opportunity, though, but the coach is going to feel the pressure from that.
It's funny, because there's a player that I've always been a fan of ever since he came into the league at the age of 19. And it's interesting because this player that I'm talking about, the fall off, and I've never seen such a fall off in a player over the period of just 1 year or so, where his play level was so high. And now the fall off is like, wow, even though he's 36 years old, but the fall off happened so quickly. And I'm talking about your boy Parker for the Spurs. Tony Parker.
Tony Parker, yeah.
Right.
One of the things with Tony, though, you have to consider, and again, not making excuses for these guys. The reason I don't believe in making excuses for them, because they make too much. They get paid to do their job very well. And they're doing something that most of them really love to do. But I think in Tony's case, his age is not always a factor, but I think injury. Tony has not been healthy. And I think that has a lot to do with today's game and the speed of the game. A lot of youth out there on the floor. Yes, he brings a lot to the table with his IQ, but he just, time away from the game. And now he's coming back to the game, and the game, he's got to get back into it. And that injury has hurt him a lot. And really, the Spurs have been one of those unique teams that have been able to do very well despite their age. But I think it's starting to show a little bit. with Tony Ginobili. Even what Gasol is there. He's got some years behind him. So Kawhi Leonard was supposed to be perhaps that, and Aldridge would be the next the youth movement, if you will. But it looks like Kawhi may not be there, and I think age is just catching up with him. And I think Parker just has not been healthy. And then now he's coming off the bench.
Well, which leads to my next question. Do you think Ginobili will retire this year? I'm just.
Boy, that's a good question. He wanted to go last year, from what I understand, and then they talked him into coming back. I tell you, a big part of that I think would be once he talks with Pop. Given where Pop is right now with the loss of his wife, and he wasn't there for the last 2 or 3 games. That may have an impact on the last 2 games. So that's going to have an impact. I think once he talks to Pop, I think his decision would be pretty clear. And I'm leading toward. I think if Pop's not going to come back, I think Ginobili will retire. Right. I really think he'll retire. Now, if Pop comes back, it could be a toss-up, but I still think he's leaning more toward retirement. But for sure, if Pop doesn't come back, I believe he's going. Same thing. Dwayne Wade has to make that decision also, which I thought that was kind of. I like his comment the other day after the game. He said, "I'm not going to." Where was he when they lost the other night in Philly? Mm-hmm. And he said he liked Philadelphia, but I'm not going to make a major announcement in Philly. I'm going to make it back in Miami, which kind of makes you think that he might be leaning toward making a major announcement. But
right.
But back to Ginobili, I think it's going to be after a conversation with Pop.
The 76ers, what you think of the move they did with Meek Mills?
Given the background information that I got on it, because I was not aware of Meek Mills, and I was not aware of the situation with him, and over the last couple of days, hearing and being caught up, I thought it was interesting that there seemed to be such a connection from the city of Philadelphia to this individual, who I understand is from the area and has done a lot in the area. They really played that up, and the fact that they won made it even bigger. He wanted to be flown out in a helicopter. They went and got him, flew him over, brought him to the game, let him ring the bell, and they went out and won. So the story is even better, the fact that they won. But I thought it was a good social commentary for the guy with that kind of a tie to the community, and the community that they embrace one another. So I thought it was very interesting. First time I've ever known it to happen like that. But I thought it was a good thing for the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean it's great when an organization's like a sports team or something like that. Mm-hmm. Can have, I mean, something as simple as, and not to get into the politics of a lot of things, but sometimes in our society, it just blows my mind for some of the simple things when we have all these major problems, and sports is such a major figure in our lives, and how it touches a lot of people. And for an example, and I brought this up a while back, Vince, on one of the shows a while back, was when the protest was going on about the police brutality and stuff like that. And I think the WNBA, some of the players came out with certain shirts. The NFL, some of the players were protesting about what was going on. Mm-hmm. And it just blows my mind that something as simple as the law enforcement goes and say, hey, let's sit down and see how we can come together to solve this problem. But instead, law enforcement, they started ragging and started trying to make what the WNBA was doing and NFL players doing negative, when they should have been trying to join forces and talk to those guys, because the impact that they could have had using it in a way that it should have been used is just crazy to me. I just don't understand. I just don't understand how you don't look at the reason why they're doing it is because there's a problem. There's a problem. That's why they're doing what they're doing. And so how you don't take advantage of that, because they would embrace you and all you would do would help yourself. So it's just a whole mindset to me. it's just like they're sick. I mean, that's just, well, you know what? I won't get into what I saw on CNN last night because I will stay away from that. But that right there, I saw something last night. Anyway, I won't go into what I saw on CNN last night in a discussion about our president.
Okay.
I will not do that right now. But
Yes.
yeah.
No. Let's not go there right now.
Right. So my question is, in sports, in a situation like that, when they were protesting and law enforcement didn't take advantage of that situation when they could have helped resolve a lot of this tension, the things that's going on, by saying we are a community and we need to work together. But instead they did the reverse of why there's a problem in the first place, because now they started pointing fingers at the WNBA and the NFL players.
I'm kind of like you. I don't want to talk about the politics at all, but that's what it comes down to, because these athletes have such a tremendous platform. They're recognizable. They have a command performance each week in whatever game they're playing in, and the mere fact that they speak to that, to me, to your point, could be a mutual between both parties to take advantage of calming a city or calming a situation rather than inflaming it. And I think we're so polarized now that everybody seems to be, instead of wanting to come together, we want to separate. And where if we came together, we could address, if not eliminate, manage many of the issues that we have, simply coming together. Law enforcement is there to protect. That's what they say they are for. Here's an organization that's saying we want to help that take place. We have the pulse. For instance, out in Sacramento, a young man that goes out there who it was unlawful. It was innocent that he got killed out there. The Sacramento took a stance, and the whole stance, and said, "Hey, listen, guys, we got to do a better job of this." It was peaceful. Nobody was. They didn't no rioting, just peaceful protest. I think that's helpful in bringing notice to the issue, and let's sit down and have some dialogue and see what we can do about finding a way to make this go away or manage it. And let's look real time rather than everybody being so offensive and saying, well, it's not my fault, it's your fault. Well, if we are true, we say, then it's all of our faults. It's all of our faults. We really got to come together to manage the expectation that we want, and that is to save the community and grow as a people. So it's going to take sacrifice on both sides. We've got to clean up our neighborhoods. We've got to clean up our mindset, our ideologies, and law enforcement on both sides. You've got to get involved rather than to retreat to your corner, and then we take it offensively. And rather, or we take it on, well, we act offensively, but we take it defensively. Somebody's doing it. So that's the politics of it all. I think the politics is really creating a division between community and law enforcement and government and each other, and we got to really take a hard look at that.
Right, and it's so funny because it's the different spirits that we have, and it's so interesting. But for somebody like the CEO of Starbucks, who has compassion and who has a heart and an understanding, and to respond in a way that be like, well, why is it that he sees something that is so obvious and other people are so blind in their ignorance? It's just amazing. It's just amazing.
But Charles, take a look at this now, and I give you a second example, which was up near me just the other day, the shooting at the Waffle House that took place, where this guy came up there at 3:30 in the morning and shoots the place up and all of that. And there's some mental health issues and all kind of issues involved. The aftermath, and boy, I tell you, what heart goes out to the families, that members that were lost, that were those, and then, the young man who said he wasn't a hero, he was just, and I thought he made a very interesting statement. And he said, I actually did what I did to save myself. He said, I thought if he was going to kill me, he was going to have to work to get it done. And so he acted. He doesn't consider himself to be a hero in a sense. He wasn't doing it for recognition. He was doing it for survival. And he says that if anybody else had been in that situation, you probably would have done the same thing. And I agree with him on that. But I still think you've got to look at the heroics that he went through, even regardless of the motivation, to get that done. The CEO of Waffle House, they did an announcement or a presentation, or the next day came up and addressed the situation and hugged them. And on behalf of those other employees who were in the building at the same time, who, due to his action, were able to walk out. The thing that happened, like the CEO of Starbucks, situation, he's saying, here's the truth. Had that not happened, he never would have known about it. Because it's not something that they're going to see every day. It's not going to happen to him. It doesn't happen when he goes into the places that he goes into, that he has to be concerned about that. He may hear about it, but it never happens to him. Now it's right up front in your front yard, right in your door, right in your house. And his compassion is also speaks to his ignorance of it. He has no, but there's reports that they've had some other similar incidents, but never to this matter. So now let's see what he does. All right, they're going to shut down 8,000 stores and have some cultural diversity training, which I think is great. It's not enough, but it is an effort. And I think you have to applaud him for the effort. Now, it's going to have to be ongoing. It's going to go back to hiring practices. It's going to go back to training, constant training of staff and the workforce, and how you serve your customers, what the sensitivity of how you work with different people, the diverse part of it. I used to be involved in that. And so many times people don't understand what their actions really mean, because where they come from, that's not a problem. But when you get in this global society that we work in today, you don't know who you're talking to, where they came from. So it's a great effort.
No. I was going to say, because you have been doing training in that. You have been called to go in and talk on diversity and those type of things. Mm-hmm. And I want to ask you, what has been your most shocking experience going in and doing something like that?
Walking into a room of mid to senior level executives, and I'm the only one that looks like me, and we're talking about diversity. That was kind of interesting, and I'm looking at them thinking, okay, how am I going to convey to you the sensitivity of what I'm trying to talk about? And the challenge, to my surprise, judging the room simply by the makeup of the room, I was surprised at some of the feedback that I got, because in different nationalities, different parts of the country, so everybody was bringing their own experience to the table, and that allowed me to talk about, well, how different. Let's simple thing. We talked about eating grits. And how many of them? I hate grits. I don't like it. I never had it. Some people, I love it. I grew up. I eat it with sugar. I eat it with ketchup. Blah, blah, blah. That got our conversation started to show the difference that we have. It's no harm, but now you're talking to a person who either understands what you're talking about or does not understand what you're talking about. How to be involved, and we turned out to be probably one of the best sessions. Now they'll give me credit for it, but it really was about them opening up to each other. I started the conversation, and then the conversation kind of intertwined itself. So by far, that was probably one of the most surprising meetings I had ever had, and probably one of the most. And what we did was to follow up 3 months later. I came back in. I came in 3 more times that year, and they were on track. Obviously, we set out some goals and to say how we want to have that done, how would we measure it, how would we follow up with it. And to my surprise, it was pretty good. You're going to always, it's a major change in how people think, because some people don't think that certain words and phrases are sensitive. I mean, there's nothing wrong, but that's not necessarily how the other person evaluates that, or that's not his opinion of that. So we had a lot of that going back and forth, and it turned out to be a good meeting. I actually ended up really enjoying it.
Oh, wow. That has to be kind of odd for you to walk in the room and talk about diversity, and you're the only brother in the room.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, one of my opening lines was that we are here to talk about diversity. And I said, and everybody kind of looked at me. I said, this is a diversity. And they all looked at each other. I said, it is. And I began to break down what made it diverse. You know, from you and from me, we have diversity. Here we
Okay.
go.
Let me
But it was kind of shocking. I thought it might be one
okay,
more brother,
let me ask
one more
you
brother there, but it was.
okay, let me ask you something, and I gotta try and find the correct way to phrase this question I want to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
How is it coaching in Florida, where you used to coaching, and now you're working with a more of a white diverse kids up there in Tennessee? How is that? Is it different? Is it the same? What is that
Yeah.
like? What is that experience like? Is it the same thing?
It's different, but it's the same. Once you get past difference and phraseology, some of the things that you do and say you change because this population of people don't relate to that. They don't get it. We're still talking about basketball, but your points of references are different. Your motivation is different. Your approach sometimes is different. And I had to learn that. I had to learn that, you know, some of the things that I say or do, I still do, but I do them differently because the impact is different. This person doesn't see it that way. So I had to learn them out how to help motivate them so they can understand me and I can understand them. But it's definitely a different style of basketball is different. The kids are different. The families are different. The family participation level is different. And then, of course, the scale of some of the skill level is different. So it is definitely different. Still a challenge, still about X, but it's different. It's more about people. And I'm very blessed that I've had a little bit of experience that way. So it wasn't a total shock, but definitely some adjustments had to be made and still
Wow.
making them.
Yeah, I mean, you've actually said a lot. I won't ask you to really go into much different about what's different, about what's different and different and different.
you,
But
you get my drift.
I can see. Let me. When I was, let me see how I can say this, Vince. When I was going to school at DBCC in Daytona, when I was playing with Gumby and those guys, Allie Goodman and those guys, my second year there. Man, I really don't want to get into that, but I won't say how I ended up in Maine. But I had no business being up in the state of Maine. I had no business being there. Okay. I was the only. There was three blacks on campus. There was me, a girl from the Bahamas, and her name will come to me in a minute. And there was a guy from Africa, that went to school there. And it was a culture shock for me that I didn't function too well there, because even though the people were nice, I was there playing ball. I had no business being there. But it was different. It was different,
Oh,
Vince. It was
there's no
different.
question.
I just leave it at that. You know what? I just leave that alone.
Oh, believe me. One of the things too that helped me before leaving Florida, I had some experience in a mixed environment, interracial environment, if you will, and it was more non-African American than it was African American, which kind of began to set that balance for me. And so when I first got here to Tennessee, we had two brothers on the team, and then after that, you know, the next 2 years it hasn't been. But it really boils down to basketball. It comes right down to basketball, and to me, even more so, it comes down to relationships, building
Right.
relationships, and that's something that I always try to make sure I do first before we do anything else. Let's see if we can build a relationship, and then once we do that, then the rest of it, to me, it is a work in progress. I won't say it's easy, but I'll just say it makes it easier once we build a relationship. and then we can begin to take care of the business at hand, whether that's in business, whether that's basketball coaching or whatever. I think, first of all, the most important thing, at least for me, and the top of my agenda, is to build a relationship with the individuals that I'm trying to work with. Them being genuine, being honest, being dependable, and meaning what I say and say what I mean.
Okay, well, we're going to get to some more stuff, but guess what?
Okay.
It's time for the 3-minute sprint there, Vince.
Okay. I'm ready to sprint.
Oh. All right, you ready?
Ready.
You ready? Yeah.
I'm ready.
Question. Should the Spurs offer Kawhi the max?
No.
No. Okay. Will the NBA and the NCAA get the one done rule right? Because you know they're working on that. Okay.
Yes. I think they
will anyone ever break Pete Pistol's scoring record in college?
I'm going to say yes, but it's going to be a while.
Whoa, really? You know, no one has ever come close to that. You know that, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to be a while.
Right. No, because they don't stick around long enough. Barry Bonds or Hank Aaron's? Hank? Okay.
Yeah, Hank.
Okay. Hardest hit you ever felt in football?
My freshman year in college on a punt return in practice. We were that I'll never, ever forget. Never.
Best coach you ever had?
I'm drawing up now, just thinking about it.
Best coach you ever had?
Best coach I ever had, I would say, was my football coach in college.
Okay. What has one of the worst call you have ever seen in sports?
A traveling call where a guy actually took 4 steps, and they did not call it. They did not call it.
First pro game you ever attended?
It was actually a baseball game.
Okay.
It was a baseball game in Yankee Stadium.
The first name of your first girlfriend in college?
First semester, or second semester?
Gotta be the first semester.
Okay, first semester.
Huh? The last time you attend one of the Florida Classics?
3 years ago.
Okay. How old were you when you played in your first football game?
13.
What is your sleeper in the NBA draft?
Don't have one right now. I don't have a sleeper right now.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
It's so crazy the way they do that thing. I don't know if you can have a sleeper right now. So.
Actually, you know what? I didn't hear your answer on the girlfriend. What'd you say her name was?
Her name was Sonia.
Sandra?
Sonia.
Okay.
Not
sure?
Sandra, but Sonia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was a young lady.
You know I'm laughing at you, right?
Upstate around. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of...
You're going back a ways on that one.
Speaking of football, I understand that the Jets moved up to number 3. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I did read something about that earlier today. I'm just taking a glimpse of sports pages and in that move. There's a lot of jockeying going on out there. It's going to be very interesting to see, because the draft is this weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So there's a lot of jockeying. I'm just kind of interested. It's going to be interesting to watch. I'm gonna watch a little bit of it, just to kind of, I'm not I follow them as much as I used to, but it's going to be interesting to see how. I want to see how this quarterback situation works out, how they move that. I'm interested to see what kind of moves the Cowboys are going to make. I'm interested to see what Philadelphia will do, because they don't have a plug, but I also just kind of curious to see how they're going to reinforce themselves. So you got a lot of people out there trying to make moves.
Did you see them asking your boy Jerry Jones, would they be interested in renegotiating and bringing back Dez for a lower price? And he said no. Did you see that?
Well, I did not, but I know that when they sat down, that was a part of their conversation. That wasn't even offered to Dez at that time. It was just whatever that comment. It was pure and simple. You're not going to be here. There was no conversation, not even to do that. So I'm not surprised that he said no, because when they were sitting face to face, that could have been a part of their conversation, but for whatever reason, it was not. So that says that they don't have any real interest in Dez. I mean, they want Dez gone.
Well, and that was my next question. Has his skills diminished that badly that even if he came in for a lower price, that they just said, no, we just don't want you? I mean, is it the skill? Is it because his skills are gone and his attitude? I mean, if that even wasn't part of the conversation and he's been part of your team, what?
Well, personally, I think more than anything else, from my perspective, it had to do with his behavior, and more so than his skills have gone down a little bit. He's getting older, but he's still a good receiver. He's a huge target. He hadn't played well. He hadn't played well in terms of receptions and that kind of stuff. But still, there's a force to be. But all that other foolishness that he was bringing to the table, I just don't think that they felt that it was worth, even at a reduced rate, to have that. The chemistry for the team has been affected. The coach affected, his spillover and attitude and stuff. I just think they just said, listen, we just had enough. We just, you're out.
What's funny is how do you convey that to a young star athlete, like a T.O., when eventually all of that stuff catches up with you, Vince? When you're on the back end, and then all that stuff starts to catch up with you. But how do you tell that star athlete on the front end, who's bold, arrogant, everybody treating him ever since he was a little kid like he is the man, and now you're trying to explain to him these things, which hopefully there's been somebody in his life trying to put a little bug in his ear from the very beginning. But it's hard to try to say to somebody like T.O. or those guys, look, man, this is going to catch up with you at some point in time.
I don't think it's that hard, Charles. I just think people don't want to do it. I mean, we want to take advantage of this kid's skills. He's playing well. He's an attention getter. He puts butts in seats and stuff. And so we're going to, as long as I can get the most out of him, I'm gonna go ahead and let it go. When in essence we're hurting him, we're creating this animal. And nobody wants to be the one to say, "Oh, I don't want him on my team." Have him on my team and deal with that. When somebody, I would like to see somebody just simply say, "Listen, you're a good athlete. You got great potential, but if you don't change this right here, you're not going to be able to play with us. And you can go play wherever you want to play, but you're not going to be able to play here." And mean that. But somebody else will pick him up and then let him go out there and act like that. We've got to be honest with these kids. If you really want to build integrity in athletes, I think you have to be honest with them and tell them. You have to say the unpopular thing. You got to face them and tell them what they don't want to hear, and say, "Hey, listen, this kind of behavior is not for. It's not going to do any good if I tell them, and then you go tell them something different." Because I want him so badly on my team, I'll say whatever it takes for him to get here. But then when he creates this disruption, now I'm all upset. Well, you can't be upset because you told him it was okay to leave my team and come to your team and do the exact same thing. So accountability and being honest with him and saying no. Something, and most of these athletes tell you, nobody very seldom ever tells him no. They want they want what they do. The production put out is that important to what they want in the end game, and I understand that. I do understand that, and I've been faced with that myself. I've made a couple of bad decisions just based on poor attitude. I just couldn't take it. It was a heck of an athlete, but I stance, and it cost me several games. And sometime I went back and thought, did I do the right thing?
You know, I was sitting here and I was talking about the Houston, Minnesota game. And do you see the score right now, Vince?
Give me a second. I can get it.
They played very well in the first half, and they look better this game than they did last game. But more so, I want to ask you about Oklahoma and what the heck is going on there. Because for Westbrook, and they was talking about Westbrook, like Rubio and got into his head. What you think gonna happen with this team? Because they don't look good.
Unofficially, I've been hearing conversations that this could be, one of them could be affected by this possibility, because when he took over the team, they went into the playoffs. And they still had KD there, was still there at the time. Kevin Durant was still there. They didn't do well that year. They have not done. They've gotten to the playoffs each year he's been with them, but they have not performed well. There's going to be a shakeup. I don't know whether it be a coaching shakeup. It is believed George will not be there next season. There's going to be some movement. There's going to be movement, and it could cost Billy his job. It just depends on how they look. Because right now, you're right. They look out of sync, and where are they going to put that? That's going to be on the coach. They don't look focused. They're going to put that on the coach. Things are just not going well. So you're going to put it on the coaches not having prepared them well. So what's easiest? Move the player or move the coach? You move the coach. Coach is cheaper. But it remains to be seen. You never know. You don't know what the management's thought process is. But it definitely looks strange. They just don't look in sync to me.
Well, the thing is, when they put that team together, I was like, there's talent on this team. If they dig down on defense, they can really compete in the playoffs. So I don't know what has happened, and I still say Carmelo. I don't know, because I don't know. I mean, it's not that I'm not like I said before. I think it was like a week or so, and I was asking you about him. I have yet to see, other than when he was in Denver, how he has made a team better. I just haven't seen it. And I'm a Carmelo fan, but I don't see how he makes the team better. He can probably put up some points, but it's not like you go, he really makes the team better. Or, the players better is what I'm saying. The players better.
I don't think he does that either. I think what he does bring to the table is offensive power. It gives him a three-headed snake with Russell or Jello, but outside of that, I don't see anything else he brings either, because he's not a defensive player. I don't think he necessarily makes those around him better, although he's played a little bit better in that system, because some of that's been taken off of his shoulders, because Westbrook is going to be, the ball is going to be in Westbrook's hand most of the time. So that allows him an opportunity to give his skill from the offensive side of the ball. But he's never been a defensive ball player, in my opinion. And his defense has always been weak. He's good size, though. He can get in the way, but he can use his length to get in the way. But he doesn't give him anything as a power.
We never really talked that much about baseball, but I want to ask you this right here. With the Barry Bonds and that whole steroids thing and what was going on at that time, how do you feel about those home runs that was hit? That whole thing with what's the other guy? Sammy Sosa, Aguirre, those guys during that time. Mm-hmm. You have much respect for Hank Aaron, because he he did it what we call old school the right way. You know what I'm saying? And so when the steroids came about and all of this stuff that took place, and I want to ask you, how do you feel about that?
Well, but Charlie, I look at it as a purist. I look at it like this: if it's within the rules, then I don't have that. If it's outside of the rules, then we've got to question the results of breaking the rule. If no steroids enhance their runs and play at another level, then I think it's wrong because it's against the rules. If the rules say that I can take this supplement and you don't have a problem with me taking it, this is supplements me to play at a certain level or hit so many home runs and it's within policy, then good for you. I personally don't have any problem with that. But when you're saying that this is not available to but a few, you start to create a problem or it's illegal. And then you go out and hit all these home runs. Then I feel like then we need to take back those home runs because you did not do them within the legal aspect of how it's supposed to be done. They got to look at that like they do anything else. Supplements within the range of what you say that they're not, then I think you take them away. You don't give them, you can't give him a home run. I don't think you can reward him for breaking the law, for breaking the rules. I just don't think, if we cheat on a game and we win, I think you take the win away. Cheat it usually when you get it done. To me, it's that simple. If you can prove that they were on steroids, illegal steroids, those steroids that your policy they cannot take, and he did whatever he did in that enhancement, I think you take away the reward for that because it's illegal. It's not available to everyone. If you're going to take a steroid, then everybody take one. I mean, that's pretty much the way I look at it.
See, the thing is, Pete Rose is going to make it into the Hall of Fame once he passes away. Once he passes away, they're going to allow him to go into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
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 They're going to vote him in once he passes away. But as long as he's living,
they're not going to let him in. They're not going to let him in. And I don't know. Pete did a lot. He did a lot for the game. Once again, you go back and you look at it. Did he break the rules? If he broke the rules, then he should not be allowed in. Now, if you want to do it after he passes, okay. But I'm as a sympathy vote, if you will, you want to let him in. But while he's living, you're tormenting this man. If you're going to put him in, put him in. But you shouldn't. He should not be put in because he broke the rules. If he broke the rules, he broke the rules, and it should be that simple. That's any athlete, right. Pete Rose, anybody else. If you broke the rule, you broke the rules. Barry Bonds, if they can prove he broke it, then you don't put him in. But the key is you got to prove it though. You can't say pretty sure you did. No, you got to.
We're talking about baseball, and I think Major League Baseball has had a discussion, and I don't know if you had this discussion, in your circle about what they're trying to do to get people of color, blacks to start, playing baseball again, because I heard them talking like last week, because, for basketball, really, you just get a basketball and you can just go out and play. But, baseball requires, several people, equipment, this, that, and this. And then the way that everything is publicized now through the hype and what sports is, because when I was growing up, baseball was a big thing. To have a ball, a bat, and a glove was a big thing. And if you can go out and sometimes you didn't play ball, you just played catch. Well,
so, I grew up in the same thing. I grew up playing baseball. I played baseball, basketball, football, played a little tennis, tried to play golf, and all of that. I just don't think today that you have that kind of focus the way we used to. We focus a lot on football, two of my favorite sports, but the exposure, the well-roundedness of the athlete. So, because some of these kids get left out because they don't do well in football and basketball, but we don't offer the opportunity maybe to play baseball, look at some other sport. So I think that's an interesting concept that you want to look at a particular population of people to come play sport when we've always played the sport. I think the interest is lost. I do think there's some stigma about who plays, how well they advance, who you target, who do you go after. You can't tell me that all these years that we've been looking at baseball players, we have not looked in situations where there are other baseball players of color that's been available. You didn't choose to invite them, or you didn't choose to draft them, or whatever the point. But now, because of the sense of who we are, we want to try to be inclusive. I'm okay with that, but you got to make it to them. You got to make it attractive to them. And there's some kids out there who I think would be excellent baseball players, just never been really exposed to it.
You know, Vince, did you ever play soccer? Did you ever play soccer?
I played soccer for a minute, and kind of liked it, didn't it, first? But it didn't. Football player, and they were trying, and I got introduced to it. Let me show you how to play football. I said, "Oh no, I know how to play football." And they, no, let me show you this. And I was like, "This is not football." Actually, I was in Europe when I first got my first chance to really get in soccer. It was interesting, but I was not excited about it.
I really played soccer in our gym class, where we actually had full-fledged soccer games in 10th grade. And that was really the only time that I ever really played soccer, was in 10th grade, where in our gym class. Because, you know, back then, you know, we had gym, you know, so, you know, I don't know what they're doing now, but, you know, back then, you had gym every day, you know. So
every day.
Yeah. And what was the president thing that you used to do? It was kind of like in you got the medal. What was that? You know what I'm talking about, Vince?
President's fitness program.
Yeah. Where you went through and you had to go through and do all the stuff, and then if you, I guess, added up, then you would get this medal. It was some president something.
Yep, I remember that. President's Fitness Award.
Yeah, President Fitness Award. Yeah. See, she just confirmed it. France, you got a medal, right?
I got a whole bunch of them.
See that she just said she got a whole bunch of them. You know, I didn't get one. Well,
I remember.
I don't know. Right? She said she got one every year. You know,
I mean,
but
Fran was winning then.
But I'm saying it was stuff like that we did, and it was expected. It was a common thing. So I wonder when that went away.
Change technology comes in the hand. We start looking at what we call well-rounded kids and taking not once again appreciation the importance of sport. I keep saying in my mind and in my world, sport plays a very huge part in total development of an individual. And I don't think we spend enough time in sport, because sport can help enhance other things. And I think with the digital age, changing direction of how we wanted to help this kid develop, we minimize sports and went in a different direction. You know, because I played volleyball. We had soccer in high as well. I didn't participate as much, but we did do volleyball, softball, baseball. All things were there to help round you out. It was to get you outdoors, good to get you doing something physical. And I kind of went away from that, because now they do it digitally. You know, they got all these games and stuff, and then we slowly move action. So I think we've taken the physical aspect out of it. In fact, for me, it takes the fun out of it.
Well, I'm going to do a little bit more research. I'm going to see if I can find out what happened to us. So next week, I'm going to have some information on that, Vince, because that was like a really big thing. I mean, it was nationwide. All the schools and all of the states participated in it, and I wonder what happened to it. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do a little bit of research and see if I can find out
Yeah, I think the White House and or the government at that time, they went away from that as well. You know, from that emphasis, because when it was coming out of there, it was a big thing. It was a huge thing, and as it diminished its interest, I think it just went away.
All right.
So your research would be interested to see.
All right. Well, I've asked you, and I ask you again. You got any predictions for the NBA? You
Well,
thinking? You thinking? You thinking? You thinking?
not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
I'll
Hey,
make my predictions next week.
you know what I forgot to ask you about last week? The first two games with the guy Bledsoe, right? And did you see where they went in
Mm-hmm.
there and they asked him in the locker room about the guard that he was guarding, and they asked him about it, and they had to bleep him because he said, "Well, I don't know who to bleep he is." Now, see, if I had been the reporter, you know what I would have said to him? Let me tell you who he is. He's the guy that's lighting you up. That's who he is. That's why they was talking about it, because the first two games, he was lighting them up. And I don't know who he is. Well, you need to find him. You need to know
Right,
who
now,
he
you see,
is,
you know,
because he putting up numbers on you. That was funny to me. To me, that was funny. Did you see that?
I did see that, and I also saw when they asked Westbrook and about the young man that lit him up, and he came back and said that wasn't going to happen, and he lit him up again. So
Rubio.
you got to be careful now. Rubio lit him up a second time, and he said, "Oh, that's not going to happen again." I said, "Okay." Rubio did still good.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying here you are, you Westbrook, you Thunder, and this is happening to you with Utah Jazz, man.
They actually, if you watch them play, though, they got a lot of good moving parts. I got to give Quentin Snyder a huge attaboy. I mean, he really got those guys playing. They're playing well together. They play as a team. They don't, that Donovan Mitchell is exploding all over the place.
Yeah,
but they play as a team. They play as a team, and I think that's the huge thing that you see. They don't have that big three, if you will. They got a team, and they're out there scrapping for everything they can get, and they're making a difference out there.
All right, well, Vince, the hour has passed just that fast.
Wow, that was fast.
And I'm going to do a little bit of research. I'm going to find out about the President Fitness Award, find out what happened to it, when did it go away. And these kids now, man, you can't get them to go outside.
No, they don't have to. They do it all on the video.
Oh, there you go. Wow. They got skills.
They got skills.
They got mad skills.
They got mad skills. They only know what the computer lets them know. So that's a shame.
Yeah.
That is a shame.
Who won that Oklahoma game?
Give me 1 second here.
Because they had came back and they had actually taken the lead the last time I looked up there.
Oklahoma won the game, 107-99.
Okay. So it's what is it, 3-2 now?
No, yes, 3-2.
Okay.
3-2.
Okay. We gonna see. All right, we get to talk about it next week.
I thought we were closing them out. Yeah,
okay. Question. What's the temperature?
Tonight it's 59. So we got 56. But we're gonna get up about 70 tomorrow.
Oh, okay. You're doing good then.
We're up about. This is good weather right now. It's good weather right now.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna wish you sunny days and healing of the knee. And
thank
you will be in Florida when?
Week of May 21.
Okay. All right. Okay. Looking forward to hanging out with you.
And me too. Looking forward to being live on the show.
Okay. There you go. All right. I'm Charles Morse. I'm Charles Morse, Vince Carter, Coach Vince Carter. And you've been watching Youth Central Sports, www.youthcentralsports.com. Happy that you're with us, and have yourself a blessed week.